Pursuant to Governor Baker's order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place due to the outbreak of COVID-19, this meeting of the Town of Berlin Select Board will be conducted via remote participation. The town of Berlin will post an audio or video recording or proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting on the town's webpage, the town's YouTube channel, and approved minutes will be posted to mytowngovernment.org. All right, we'll call the meeting to order at 7:02. And we have approval of the April 12th open session meeting minutes. Do I have comments, questions, motions?
So moved.
And seconded.
Okay, and we will take a vote. Keefe, aye.
Stone eye.
Hawkins, aye.
That's unanimous.
Nice picture, Mary, that you captured of the Lembo family. I mean, this little
Yeah.
face is just awesome.
Okay, Margaret, do we have any correspondence?
No correspondence in particular. I may reference some emails, email correspondence in my TA report.
Okay. And general public comment. Give it a couple of seconds. I don't see any hands. Okay. And tonight we do not have a fire and EMS department update. Chief Clark will be with us next week.
Yep.
Okay. And we're to the town administrator report.
Okay, let's see. Hopefully we've got more good news than bad this week. Well, that's one way to introduce it.
Hopefully you know what's in it.
That's true. No surprises here. All right. So the board recently signed on to a letter that was submitted to the Baker administration to set up a regional vaccination site here in this area at Marlborough through Marlborough Hospital. And so I'm pleased to report that Marlborough Hospital has indeed launched the regional vaccination clinic at the Marriott Courtyard at 75 Felton Street in Marlborough. The challenge will be scheduling the vaccine appointment because initially they were trying to do that locally, but the state has required them to use the state website to schedule appointments. So my TA report contains the link that people can use to schedule their appointments. And as we get more information, we will share that. There's also some similar with Neshoba. The state apparently is supporting that, the Devon site as a regional vaccination clinic. That's not up and running yet. Logistically, it's going to be more challenging to operate that. So I'll provide more information as we receive that. COVID.
And Margaret, your first link in that report goes to an OOPS site, the long one. The one that says mass.gov/info-details pre-register for a code.
Oh, is it broken?
It might be broken because when I try to launch that website, I get an oops, can't find this page.
Okay,
Yep.
so I can fix that. But all folks need to do, if they want to see all the state, regional, city, town data, just do a Google search on mass COVID interactive data dashboard. It'll bring you to it.
Mary, did you have something to add?
I helped somebody the same day that link went out. I helped a senior get vaccinated and they're already vaccinated.
Nice.
Nice.
That's good. I still am an advocate for that. The vaxfinder.mass.gov. That's also a good link. I hopefully people are having a little more luck now getting their vaccines scheduled. All right, COVID safety protocols. I had another email today from a resident asking when the town offices are going to reopen, when they're going to reopen. I explained that we have been closely following the COVID positivity trends for the second week in a row. We've seen the prior 14-day positivity decreasing. I've mentioned to the board at a couple of your prior meetings that, I'd be looking at early May to begin in-person business transactions again. However, we are going to need to have strict protocols in place for employees and the public in order to protect everyone's health and safety. So I'm working on those protocols, updates again. This will be about the 10th update. Jumping ahead to procurement contracts and agreements, I mentioned last week that the AMP Power, the Seaboard Solar Holdings net metering agreement was under review. After talking with our solar consultant, Beth Greenblatt, about what the Fourth Amendment would do, I am going to advise Seaboard Solar Holdings that we will not execute the Fourth Amendment to that net metering agreement. The reason is that the Third Amendment increased electricity charges to 12 cents a kilowatt hour at the net metered production price, with a 2% escalator over the life of a 20-year contract. In turn, in that Third Amendment, which was executed back in 2017, AMP or Seaboard Solar paid the town a lump sum $22,400, or roughly that amount, which I believe was intended to offset those increases over the life of the contract. The problem with the Fourth Amendment is that it would lift the 250,000 kilowatt hour per year cap on that agreement to 95% of the town's total electricity charges. And we, in fact, are using more than 250,000 kilowatt hours per year, which means that our charges would increase based on 95% of the usage. So I'm going to have a further conversation with AMP, but I don't anticipate that we'd be executing that agreement. So I'll keep you posted on that. Tolman property. So I know there's a couple of simultaneous things going on here with the property. I just want to report on the Brownfields Phase 2. I've been going back and forth today with the engineer with Fuss and O'Neill and Andrew Lowe at CMRPC. I informed them that the smaller parcel across the street was sold to Mass Broken Stone to use as a buffer for their gravel operations, or their blasting, or whatever it is they're using that parcel for. So they are going to redo the scope of the Phase 2 environmental assessment to focus solely on the larger parcel. So they're going to put all their attention into the larger parcel to do the site, the soil studies on the larger parcel. And that's planned for mid-May. We've also been going back on the quantum vote requirement for a couple of the zoning bylaw amendment articles. The first one being the in-law apartments article that's proposed by the planning board, and the other, the proposed town homes proposed through citizen petition. Town council opined, and DHCD agrees that both of those articles will require a 2/3 vote, because they combine uses that would require a simple majority with uses that under the Housing Choice Act still require a 2/3 majority vote. So the act is very clear that if there are combined uses in one article, you have to go with a supermajority vote. Today was the hearing on the special legislation for the fire chief's continued employment. I have not received an update yet, but today was the hearing with the Joint Committee on Public Service. So we're waiting to hear on that. The annual town report, the digital file was sent to King Printing last week. 2 weeks are going to be allowed for mailing. King Printing is already working on the print job. And let's see, the Berlin Memorial School lease agreement. This is not written in my report today, but I've added it. That draft of the lease agreement has been provided to the school district. And today, Barry brought in 2 large plans of land showing the actual bounds of that elementary school piece of the larger parcel. So we have something definitive to work with there. The River Bridge Development Agreement, the subset of the working group is going to be meeting with the Sennies on April 28th. And I just want to convey the intent of that meeting, at least on our part. We have expressed to the Sennies, and I expressed again today in an email, that we have a number of concerns regarding previously agreed to commitments of value in the agreement and modifications, along with the current status of those commitments. And so, keeping in mind those commitments, they've been invited to share with our subgroup their any thoughts and solutions they have that they think would be fair and equitable to the town of Berlin. So our subgroup will listen to them and will reiterate our concerns with those items. And then finally, Connect Wellness, you have the draft host community agreement before you tonight. Then finally, RCAP Solutions. RCAP Solutions is a nonprofit agency that works very closely with communities and other stakeholders. The RCAP stands for Resources for Community and People. They're very heavily involved with infrastructure issues, especially water, wastewater, and things of that nature. They have requested a meeting with the Board of Health and the Select Board to talk about a program they're going to be running. It's a free water testing program, allowing up to 40 water tests in the town of Berlin. I've also provided you information from DEP relative to free water sampling. There are plenty of things that homeowners and owners of private water wells need to know before they proceed with these tests. So Board of Health is going to be talking to RCAP Solutions, I want to say tonight, or they're going to be talking about setting up a meeting tonight for June or July, and then we'll try to set up a joint meeting with the Select Board and Board of Health on this, so everybody can hear the information all in one place at one time. And that's, I think, all I have at the moment.
You've noted in your report, we received the Solomon Pond Mall payments.
Oh, I did. Yes. Thank you, Scott. Yes, we have received the Solomon Pond Mall open space mitigation payment, $50,000. It was received last week.
And so if I remember from Dennis's report, that leaves, although we have some minor payments, but two large remaining payments, one from the Sennies and one from the hotel, correct?
The hotel would be tax payments. That's
Right.
current year tax
Right.
payments. And yes,
Right.
the Sennies would be a public safety mitigation transitional payment. Yes.
And still no word on the Boundless Adventures for this year.
No word yet on the Boundless Adventures. I'm going to ask Chris to share that information with us, with our subgroup, and then we can share it with the board. And
Okay.
And I'll save my other one for the end of the meeting because it's not really part of the town administrator report.
Peg, do you have anything?
Yeah, Margaret, I have two. The cost of the town report, wherever it went, is that with or without labels?
That's without labels. We'll be having a label
Sticker
sticking party. We'll be
Okay.
having a sticker party.
Sticker party. All right, and anything on the 100,000 for the courts and the snack shack that Senator Tran
I
had
have
secured?
no updates on that at the moment, Peg, but I will stay on it and see if we can get any further information on the economic bond bill.
Do you want me to write to Susan Templeton?
Yeah, go right. If you'd like to,
Look at you, you're like, go right ahead.
Sure,
All
go
right.
ahead.
I'm on it.
I could
Okay.
forget.
Okay. That's all I had.
Okay.
And-
Then we'll,
Sorry, one more,
Go ahead.
Margaret. The rebidding of the parking lots, do you even have an estimated ETA about when that's going to go out? I just don't want that project to get lost because I don't think it's something we can do in the winter. And
No,
so
it's
even though we'll
definitely
get
not
an
something-
extension.
Yeah, no, I, Scott, I don't have an ETA just yet. I'm trying to get through town meeting. I will put that out. We also have to plan carefully with contractor timelines. I want to be sure that we get the best bids. We get the best
Right.
bids possible, right? So
Yep.
I don't have a specific date yet for reissuance of that.
okay.
It'll come soon. It'll come soon.
Yeah, I hate to think that the timeline to rebid is longer than the timeline it would have taken for someone to appeal and either win the appeal or lose the appeal and us sign a contract to move forward from the original round.
Yeah. I was asked, that's a good point. I was also asked by the Capital Planning Committee tonight, or it was mentioned at the Capital Planning Committee meeting, that maybe the cemetery driveway paving could be built into the specs in
Mhm.
the reissuance. So we could modify the specs.
A slightly larger contract might make it more appealing to contractors.
Mary, do you have anything to add?
You have an audience member with their hand up, Janet Lammy.
Okay. Do you want to promote her if she has a question?
Janet, your mic is open.
Hi, I just wanted to say I accidentally uh, texted Sue Templeton last week when I was texting Sue Therian about a question. It went to the wrong person, and she got back to me, and we had a nice conversation. And she is fully aware that our town is waiting for that $100,000, and it is in bonds committee right now. And we have actually been corresponding. And she said as soon as she does know something, she will let us know, but she told me that she is keeping a personal eye on that. And I said that my friend Peg and I were very passionate about this because it was something for our children in our town, which over the last year, I think could really use a little bit of a cheering up, and to know that that snack shack is coming would be great. So I just wanted to put that out there, that she is keeping an eye on that for us, even with the changing of the guards.
Okay, great. Thanks, Janet. Okay. Shall we move on to old business? And the annual town meeting prep?
Annual town meeting prep. You do
What?
have draft motions before you.
Okay.
To Peg's question on Article 31, the number of retail marijuana establishments. Barry came in today and I clarified with him. I had sent another email to planning as well. But I asked him for clarification on the way the motion by the planning board would be presented. He said because the number would be less restrictive than what the article called for, we can actually write this motion into the motion sheet, which I think would alleviate some confusion as well. So, so I just wanted to address that before you start going through them.
Okay. How do you want to do this?
So
Did
the
anybody?
board,
Go ahead.
okay, the board hasn't historically made recommendations on articles. Town council recommended that the select board provide a recommendation on the establishment of the tax title revolving fund, because under the statute, it does refer to that. And I do know that placement of the article was voted 2-1 by the board. And then the other is the citizen petitioned articles. I didn't know if the select board wanted to make any recommendations or statement on those. The finance committee is going to be doing so on the for the petitioned articles. So I just wanted to give you that option.
Okay.
Do you know if planning is having any motions on those articles?
So planning definitely would have a report and recommendations on the zoning bylaw amendments. There are 2 of them. And I don't know what those are yet. I'm guessing that the planning board's next meeting, they will be voting recommendations on those. So planning board will absolutely have recommendations on the zoning bylaw amendments.
I saw something come in today from Skipjack Farms. His name is,
Yeah, the Agriculture Commission put
Thank you.
together their comments on
Yeah.
the wetland bylaw.
so
Okay.
correct. So will that be part of it, or is that just a letter to us? You know, where is that going?
I'll be perfectly honest with you. I haven't had a chance to look at that email yet.
Okay.
I think
I haven't either.
since the motion is from the Conservation Commission's motion, I think that letter should go to the Conservation Commission. I think it did. I could pull it up again. And I think it's for our education. I don't believe it was a vote for or against. I think it was just a list of things in the bylaw they thought were good of things they have concerns about.
Mhm.
And some suggestions for some improved wording in a couple of spots.
See, he did
I
send
attended the meeting that the Conservation Commission presented, and there was a nice Q&A between the Agricultural Committee and the Conservation Commission members.
I will forward this to Concom's official email. I see he sent it to the chair, but I can certainly forward it to.
Thank you. Yeah, Mr. Wickstrom.
If you want, I can push it to the members.
Yes, Mary, would you please do that?
I honestly, I believe that I don't believe the members are going to be surprised by that letter at all. I think it actually outlines exactly the conversation that happened at the meeting, I think, quite succinctly and quite well. I think Skip did a great job of capturing what the concerns and issues and strong points or good points they thought were in the bylaw or the proposed bylaw.
Okay.
So you all
Uh,
know the warrant has been posted by the constable. They're all set, done.
Good,
Yep.
great. So does anybody have any strong feelings about any of the articles that that we perhaps want to make recommendations on?
As the no vote to even have it on the agenda for the tax title, I have no problem with us having a recommendation for Article 21. I didn't think it belongs on the agenda, but I have no problem as a select board saying, I have no problem personally voting in favor of recommending Article 21.
Which one is Article 21?
That's the tax title
Okay,
revolving fund. And I don't think I want to make any recommendations on the citizens petitions until after I've heard from zoning and planning. I consider them more the experts in this thing. And even I don't know what direction they're going to go, but even if we assume that somehow I have a opposite opinion of them, I would like them to have their opinion out first before I did mine.
okay. Okay, anything to add?
No, I mean, kind of along the same, I mean, I have my own feelings regarding not so much the zoning bylaws, but, some of the items from Riverbridge, when and if the selectmen board decide to come up with a recommendation, I'll be glad to stand up and present it to the crowd.
Okay, well, we can wait another week or so.
And just so you're aware, the finance committee will be commenting on those articles, the citizen petitioned articles at town meetings. So I don't know that they're going to have an advanced recommendation, but they will be commenting at town meeting.
So then do we need to make a advanced one? Because I can't see the three of us or four of us like huddling up during town meeting to, scribble something on a piece of paper and have me stand up.
Well, I don't know.
Again, I want to wait to see what zoning and planning says, because they will have theirs ahead of time. And then we can decide if we want to say us too, or us too, but here's our commentary, or we feel differently and here's our commentary. But I'd like to hear their thoughts before we actually vote on it.
Well, we also will have a meeting posted for that evening in case we did want to take a quick vote one way or the other on something.
Yep.
I don't believe zoning is going to vote on those items.
Not zoning, planning.
Planning
Sorry,
would.
planning.
Yeah,
My misuse of the word planning.
that's okay. All right. Anything else on that item? Annual town meeting.
No, from my quick read, all the wording looked fine, although again, I'm not the best proofreader of things. And so if there's small typos like ors instead of ons or something like that, I probably wouldn't have caught, but they looked pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll just sliced up and we each get like every third one,
Yeah, kind of.
Something like that.
minus the ones that have other people presenting.
Right. Right.
I was confused last year. So Finance Committee makes the motions on all the finance-related articles, and then the Select Board makes the motion on non-finance-related articles. And then is it the Planning Board? We didn't have any bylaws in the spring, so this would be my first. So the Planning Board makes the motions on the Planning Board sponsored zoning bylaw amendments? Is that the way it
Yep,
typically?
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Okay.
Conservation Commission will make the motion on
Okay.
their bylaw.
Okay,
And you know, even
Yeah.
department heads sometimes, if they live
Yeah.
in town, they can make the
Well,
motion.
Even if they don't, we have to make the motion and then defer to them to
Right.
actually make more commentary. Right, right.
Right. So,
good to know. All right, if you happen to see any.
We like spreading it around so there's more voices to be heard. You know, you're not hearing the same 2 or 3 people 37 times, 39 times.
yeah.
If you have any comments or questions or find any typos on the motion sheet, please let me know. These are going to be put into town meeting bags again this year. So
Mhm.
these sheets will be in there for handout at check-in.
And you said the motions were going to town council, or have they?
They've gone to town council, yes.
Okay, good. All right.
Margaret, do you want to, while you're sitting in the office, do you want to reach around to the box and show everybody the handheld device for voting?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'll show you a handheld.
What's the range? Can we use them from our houses to like
No, you
vote on
Yeah,
Select Board voted 3-0.
yeah, really, multiple residents fall off their roof trying to get in range of voting for town meeting.
I was thinking during Select Board meetings, we could use them, you know.
They're
Oh,
just very
God.
little things. Here is a hand, oops, see, they're very little.
Okay, there was a handheld. Yeah.
Here it is.
Wow.
We are getting lanyards to prevent what I just did from happening. So there's a little hole that we can put lanyards in. These are going to be in the bags at town meeting, and then they're going to be collected. So when people leave through the
Yep.
check-in area, they'll deposit their things back. This has several buttons, but only the yeses and nos will be used.
Okay.
But you could abstain, can't you?
You can abstain, but at town meeting, there's no abstention. You would just not,
Just
well,
don't vote.
yeah, that
Okay.
you wouldn't be pressing the abstention button, so.
Okay. Cool.
Yes.
Are we gonna plan like at the beginning of the meeting to do like I don't know, test vote? It's not like, let's make sure everyone knows how to use this, you know?
Barry's actually
If you're
preparing.
alive and feeling well today, or alive and able to vote, press yes. And oh, look, we have 75% press yes and 25% press no. It's okay.
That would be good. Barry's also putting a handout in the bags too, that's going to just explain the voting system as well.
And you said that the company that put these out would be there too?
They're going to be there. They're running it, and they're going
Oh,
to be
very cool.
training. I think, according to Barry, they're going to be training James Wheeler live during the meeting to show
Okay,
him how it works. So
good.
they'll be at both. They'll be at
Good, because
the
I imagine this year will still be a little clumsy, but I think in future years it's gonna get better, and I think it's gonna speed up town meeting substantially. Because again, there's no need for a paper ballot, there's no need for hand counts. Those are the type of things that are important to make sure you get the count right, but really, really slow down the meeting.
And do they test them to make sure, like before each town meeting, are we going to test them to make sure
There's
they
an
work?
actual rehearsal. We were kind of joking about that with the planning work group. There's going to be a rehearsal conducted. So Dave Smith wanted to know who's paying for the rehearsal dinner. It was funny, but yes, we're going to be there on Friday doing a rehearsal, and then when they set up, they're going to be doing quick checks. I don't know the process they follow, but yeah, it'll be.
Do you need volunteers for the rehearsal?
If you'd like to, we're going to be there, I think at 4:00. I can get you details. So if you'd like to be there, we're going to be testing a few
Because in
different.
some respects, more people testing,
Yeah.
the better it might be. Because
Yeah.
you get tech people like me who are used to little fobs like that, and it might not, what might be intuitive to me might not be intuitive to other people. So
Yes.
it
All
might
right.
be
So I'll
worth
get you
sort
the
of a quick.
details.
Yep.
Yes.
It'll be at the school, I think 4:00 the day before. So I'll make sure that you have the right time.
Yeah, I want to come to it because definitely I want to like run down by the pond and see if it works down there and way off to one side. So no
Well,
one can say,
all the way to
oh,
your
well, I was
house.
all the way to
Well-
the house. saying.
Officially,
they-
isn't there like a
they-
roped off area where town
Yes.
meeting's gonna be held in?
Yeah, it'll be cordoned off, so
Well, send the information to all of us and
will do.
okay. All right. We'll move
Rehearsal
on.
dinner will consist of pizza.
And I believe it's the groom's parents who pay for the dinner,
Yes.
Right.
whoever that
Oh,
is.
gosh, funny.
Okay. Connect Wellness, our draft host community agreement. I think we put together the last draft and wanted to run it by the board members and see if they had any comments and questions.
The proponent, the applicant, has gotten back to us and said that the red lines are acceptable to them. So, it's in the board's hands now. We also made it clear to the applicant that they would need to proceed and hold their community outreach meeting before the board executes the host community agreement. So,
Yeah, so do you need to follow up on the email or do you want us to take a vote this evening if we're ready?
If the board's ready, I don't see that there's a huge urgency in voting this tonight because they have to proceed with their community outreach meeting first.
Hmm.
That might have to be reminded to Dave.
I will
And-
I will do that. I'll respond because he emailed this afternoon. I have not responded to him yet.
Okay,
I will do that.
And as a reminder, there is no current active operating cannabis agency, either selling or growing in Berlin, correct?
That's correct.
And there's not currently anyone ahead of them planning to. In other words, the ones we have been talking to aren't currently active, is the right word, but they've fallen apart, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, that's correct. There's no one ahead of this facility. In fact, this is
And this
the
is a-
only-
right.
No,
This-
this is a grow. This is a
Yeah,
cultivation.
grow.
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah,
And he's confirmed with Hudson and Marlboro, there are no issues getting up that driveway for
So
Entwistle.
he hasn't confirmed, but I spent a little time. I went on to Hudson's zoning map and did my best to match it up with ours. It looks to me like the districts match up, but I'm not the applicant. They need to confirm. So
Okay.
yeah. So that's one other outstanding question, but
yeah,
and just because of the issue we had, I think that's why we're asking.
Oh.
Yep.
And it's on the applicant we can take care of the town of Berlin. We can't take care of the town of Hudson or Marlboro. And we
Mhm.
can't speak for them.
Right. Okay. If you'd like to defer this to another meeting, that's fine.
board's pleasure.
Board's pleasure.
I mean, I read it and I had no issues with it, so I'm willing to vote on it and let it roll.
I agree. I read it. I mean, at this point, there's enough of these community impact agreements or, community host agreements out there that there's not a lot of differences between them.
Mm-mm.
And I like some of the red lines that have been added. So, I mean, I have no problem voting on it now, knowing, I mean, there's still there's still several more steps to go before this becomes a reality for them at the town.
Right. And I've read it and read it and read
Yeah.
it and read it.
Version after version.
So is
This-
Margaret.
Scott, these discussions began in 2019. So
Yeah.
Wow.
this has been a long time. This one.
Yeah. So do I hear a motion?
So I make a motion to approve the host community agreement between the town of Berlin and, who are they?
Connect Wellness.
Connect Wellness of Massachusetts.
Okay.
I second.
Okay, then we will take a vote. And this is contingent on the
Oh,
the outreach
Right.
meeting.
Right.
Yeah.
And also the
Additional legal review and feedback.
well,
And
and the
Hudson
and
zoning.
the
And site
Yep.
review
and the zoning with Hudson.
Correct.
Okay,
I'm
and
gonna have to write all that down.
yeah. it, Mary.
Playback, that's why this is on video. Rewind it to 7:37. Okay,
Okay, then we'll take a vote. Keith, aye.
don't I?
Hawkins, aye.
That's unanimous. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is our proposed coffee talk agenda.
I will apologize that we did not complete our efforts to get it up online and get it widely publicized in time.
There's no need to apologize. I mean, we have time. Even if we do it next week, we still have, 2 or 3 weeks for the town meeting. So no apologies needed. Things fall through the crack and get busy. So we got
Yep.
it.
Okay. And I presume have you heard back from any of the other spokespeople that were going to be there that evening, Margaret?
No, but I contacted them all and I have not
Okay.
heard back. So as far as setting up the agenda, I think the board's intent was to have Concom go first, followed by the planning board, and then
Mhm.
move on to the other articles. I think that's what you had discussed, correct?
Yeah, I
Mhm.
think so.
So I'm happy to reach out to
Yeah.
them. I think blocks, setting aside blocks of time just to make sure that all articles can be considered is going to be important. Otherwise, we
Yep.
could be here all night.
Yeah, so you
I-
just have to make sure those first two have sort of a time limit, even if we're not done. People might say, if you want more, talk to this person or that person. Those are only 5 of our 39 articles. But I don't know if the others, I think the others you can go through relatively fast. I think they're more clarification than a lot of debate. I keep reading them over, trying to find something that I think is controversial.
The
Yeah.
Or
summaries,
complicated.
the summaries help so much
Yeah.
on, with the standard articles. So.
Yep.
Well, I have conservation meets tomorrow night, so I know that's on the agenda, and Carolyn has secured a date for another outside meeting. It escapes my mind. Some Sunday in May. Maybe
That would be May 2nd.
there you go. So I'm hoping that conservation is running with that, maybe that can be referenced. I did let Carolyn know that, no, we don't need a presentation at Coffee Talk. Do like a 5-minute summary and then just sit there and wait for questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if we had some way of putting up the rest of the warrant, you could just ask people if they have questions about it, or if they have looked at it online, or
We could actually, yeah, I mean, we could do it however you like. With the share screen function, you can do just about anything.
Yeah.
So
Right.
Right.
right. If people need us to share the screen, we could do that. Yeah.
I mean, I did push Mary's post that the town report and stuff was posted. So that will go. And I think there's one that Mary, you sent something out for Coffee Talk too? Yeah. An email. Am I making it up? Could be making it up.
she has put it up now for you've put it up for the 29th, Mary, I think,
Oh,
right?
well, it was posted on My Town Government, but it's not up on social media or the
Okay.
website yet because Margaret wanted to make sure we knew what you wanted for presentations.
Hmm.
And if you wanted to assign times or blocks of times to any of your guests.
You might have a better idea, Margaret, about the timeframes, unless Peg or Scott. I
You know
don't
what?
really know.
Limit them. I would limit them. I would limit conservation because they have an open forum tomorrow night at 8 o'clock during the smack dab of their meeting. So
Okay.
I would give them like a half hour and then shoot planning on at 7. And then if no one has any questions for conservation after like 6:40, just start to whiz through the other items and talk
Yeah, and
about it.
I mean, I think their presentation is, why is this needed and what's its intent to do?
Correct.
Yeah, I don't
I
know
think
if
less on the actual wording, although there might be questions on the wording. I don't think they
Right.
need to present the wording.
Yeah, I think the presentation part could be a little less than half an hour.
Yeah.
And then the questions might take longer to answer.
Yeah, so I think again, 5 to 10 minutes on the what its intent is and why it's needed, and then just a bunch of Q&A, and we could pepper the Q&A a little bit. I mean, I don't know about the the two of you, but I get asked questions about it here and there. And so we could ask one of those questions to just get things started
Mhm.
and then see where it goes after that.
Yeah.
And I think zoning and plannings I think they can have about the same amount of time to go through all of theirs with the same sort of presentation of, why is it needed and what's its intent, or maybe and then we can go into, I don't know, we could start at the top and work our way down, or just scroll through some and see if people have questions about them.
The finance committee asked me to do a simple pie chart on
Yep.
the tax levy, so
I-
the portions of the tax levy. So
No,
they'll want to do a little something.
I think the first several minutes, I think I mean, a short, Margaret, a short dog and pony show of the new voting device, I think would be fun.
Okay.
Um,
That would be fun.
Mhm.
New
and
exciting.
and then maybe a little bit about just what we are doing to keep this sort of safe from
Yeah.
a COVID standpoint. That it's still outdoors. It'll behave a lot like last year. You'll get a package on the way in the door. Some of the sort of logistics of it. Although again, people who went last year, it's going to look pretty close to the same.
It will.
And
Right.
then I think we should do either the beginning or the end, remind people that it really is a 2-night town meeting, that even if things go remarkably fast and we're done by 2 o'clock, everything but the wetlands bylaw, we will still stop at that point to do the wetlands bylaw on Monday.
And the citizen petitioned articles,
And those
Mhm.
petitions, yes.
which will not be part of coffee talk. I have encouraged the petitioners to
Right.
do their own forum if
Yep.
they'd like.
And
Margaret,
if and they've set up a forum, I have no problem at Coffee Talk to say, these are ones not proposed by other folks, and here's the information about when they're doing a presentation about them.
Margaret, I have a question. So let's say it comes to 5 o'clock on that ill-fated Saturday, and we still have 10 articles to get through. When we start on Monday, are we finishing those 10 and then going?
Barry
No.
says those 10 will wait until after
Oh.
the wetlands bylaw. Yeah, said that those would wait till after the wetlands bylaw and citizen petition articles, and then we'd finish town meeting with the remaining however
Okay.
many regular.
All right, so that maybe that's another item, another little ditty that you could just put out at Coffee Talk too,
Right.
just the order of stuff. So
We're
people
starting
know.
at noon, aren't we? We're starting at noon, correct?
1 o'clock.
No,
Oh,
1 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah, Chris, you
Yeah.
can get there at noon and save our seats.
Okay.
I'd recommend a pillow.
Wear sunscreen.
No, I
Yes.
was just thinking, my gosh, if we can't get through it in 4 or 5 hours,
Hey,
Right.
so
the
I have
rest of
another,
it.
so Margaret, I have another question. I mean, the way, I know that they're gonna be ordering portables, correct? There is absolutely no way that we can use the bathrooms in the school.
Oh, no, we will be able to, yes, John Campbell, principal, attended our logistics meeting. We will be able to use
Oh,
the
nice.
school's restrooms this year. So we
Good.
will not have portables.
Well, and that's a nice cost savings,
Yeah,
too.
it is.
Awesome. Okay,
And right, the bathrooms in the building are easier to use and nicer to use
Correct.
than.
Yes,
Mhm.
and Barry will, at the start of town meeting, Barry will go over,
logistics and where to go
egress,
and,
ins and outs.
Okay.
So
Good.
you said wetlands bylaw, half an hour then for coffee talk to
I
allow
would
for the
say-
presentation?
I
Yeah.
would say total. Yeah.
Yep.
Think.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, and then the planning board articles, what did you say about those? The planning board
same,
Probably
half hour to
an hour.
45 minutes, maybe.
for all their articles.
Yep.
Yep,
We'll start losing people if it's too long.
correct.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's an hour right there with just those two. Okay.
Right.
All right, so Mary, any questions on that? Looks like we've got the start and then the rest will follow. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
So yeah, so Mary, as soon as you post that up on Town of Berlin, I'll whiz it out to both non-official Berlin sites. We'll just get the word out there.
Did you pass on to Mary your the photos that you had a few weeks ago?
What photos?
Didn't you have coffee talk type photos? Maybe I'm mistaken.
Just the little ditties. I
Yeah,
mean,
I
I
don't
can
know.
send it, but Mary's really good at finding stuff like that. Mary, I just went out and Googled for like coffee talk, you know how
That's
you
all
put
I
up.
do. That's
Yeah,
all I do. I
so-
find different goofy things every time. You have a hand raised in the audience, Janet.
Okay,
Would you like
Janet?
to? Okay,
Sure.
go ahead, Janet. Janet, you're ready. You can go. You can speak.
Hi, Janet.
I didn't have anything. I don't think I lowered that. I think I accidentally hit that. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
But nice seeing you all. But now that you are saying this, I just have a quick question. I heard you saying Coffee Talk isn't going to be about the citizens petitions, and I understand all that, but there may be residents that don't understand it that might want clarification, and that clarification might be better coming from somebody that understands it and can explain it. That's what all I'm thinking.
So,
You're following my drift there.
yeah, so
I think they
through
need
the
to.
chair, I think, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, I was just gonna say that I would think that maybe if we knew when the Sennies were gonna do something like on Zoom, that maybe we could pass that along to people too.
So I think that would be important.
Yeah,
I personally, now that I see more of these communities, I'm not sure I'm going to pronounce this right, the Artisan that's in Hudson, and Maynard has now a new community, Camilla Gardens. And these were what, was originally proposed for that property. It's, the fact that they say they couldn't find somebody that was willing to do it. And here we have two very large, wonderful communities built in neighboring towns years later. I mean, think about it. We would have been like the Cadillac in the first if we had done it, way back when. It's just a little disheartening when I see my aging parents thinking, boy, they could have been down the street and, a nice little place for them. So anyways, that's just my take. Sorry, I didn't mean to raise my hand. I'll mute myself.
okay.
I will ask Chris Senni if they're going to be doing a forum, and if so, when, so we could share the information with the residents.
Right. Good. Okay, is there anything else? Okay. I
Would
guess.
you like, I'm sorry,
Go-
excuse me.
go ahead.
I'm through the chair. Would you like Barry to do the intro to the new voting devices and the COVID safe town meeting logistics? Would you like to give him a few minutes to go over that stuff?
Yeah, if he is willing, that would be great.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, then we'll move on to new business, and we have an appointment of an election warden per the town clerk's recommendation, which is Tim Wysocki. Do I hear a motion?
So moved
I'll
to
second
appoint Tim Wazaki as election warden.
Okay. I got a motion and a second, then we will take a vote. Keith, aye.
Stone Eye.
Hawkins, aye.
That's unanimous. Approval of the draft April board update for submission to the Clinton Item newspaper.
Dear God, that was long.
I know. Looks
Next
fine
month
to
it'll
me.
just be item, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the only thing that had changed from the very first one is that well, I did put in the ditty about the handheld voting devices, just so that people knew, hoping that
Yep.
maybe that would entice more people to come, knowing that they're not raising their hand for fear
Yep.
of being seen. So that was really the main big thing that changed.
Gonna miss a town meeting, 3 people on any article screaming no to see if they can
Yeah, I know.
scream the
Right.
400 people who are screaming yes.
Yep.
To force a count.
Mhm. Well, the no's always yell louder.
Right.
Mary, do you have something?
I didn't read it, sorry, but the annual town report being online is also in the Clinton item article.
Hold please. Yes, the electronic version of the warrant is available online at townofberlin.com under news and announcements. Is that correct?
Yay.
Okay,
It's under town news. Yep.
And
So,
the
yeah,
annual
it's there.
town reports, and the annual town reports up too.
okay,
Nice.
good.
Okay. All right, so I'll put the town warrant and the town report.
Okay. Mary?
Oh, the warrant is within the report.
Yeah.
But the warrant itself, I don't think is online, but it will be. I didn't know that it was already posted, so I'll get that online.
Yeah, I sent you the PDF the other day, Mary.
Ah, got it. Thank you. I'll get that.
Or
up.
maybe, no, I sent you the Word version, either one.
I'll
I
get
sent
it.
both.
Okay.
All right. So I think you have Scott and my opinion on it. I think we're good to go.
Awesome. All right, I will send that out tonight. And I also put in the link for the Mabel Felton Marbles Memorial Scholarship
Good.
as well. So folks in town can see that.
Good.
All right,
Okay. The next thing on the agenda is discussion of the town administrator's priorities for the upcoming year and alignment with the select board goals. So I think we
go
got,
ahead.
I was just gonna say, we got a listing of all the goals and the priorities from the last year or so in the folder. How do you all want to go about this?
I have an idea.
Okay,
Go
Um,
for it.
I think that we should set aside a night that is just for goals and objectives, that we go to the town hall, we go upstairs. There's plenty of room for us to spread out. There's plenty of room for folks who want to come and join us, that we just talk about that we seriously take a look at the goals, see what's achievable. Maybe we can start to break them down and, can this goal be accomplished in the next 3 to 6 months? Is it a must? Is it a want? I want to go back to what I said last week. I think when Margaret came, as I said to Susanna Roberts today, the heavens opened, here came Margaret, and it was like, here you go. But, now I think we need to dial it back and seriously take a look at them. A lot of them we've probably already completed. Some are going to live on in perpetuity, the Wheeler Dam, the Tolman House, the greenhouse. So, that's an opportunity for us to also work with Margaret and stand up. But personally, I just think that we'd get more out of it if the four of us, stood up and brought sticky sheets and started writing things down than trying to do this on Zoom.
So
Well-
a true work session,
Yeah.
which is quite common among select boards to have a
Mhm.
so-called retreat work session type thing.
Yep.
We might need to have some parameters because I think we all agreed that the goals need to be less
Mhm.
somehow, and especially if we get more and more input, we might have trouble trying to keep it narrowed. But I want to hear what people have to say and what's important to them. But I think we had an awful lot of goals. in the
We
last
did.
2
We
years.
did. And you know what? And honestly, I'm looking at the list now. God, there's like 5 pages.
Yeah.
So.
I think we could just take these goals and
Yeah,
pick our favorites or things that we think are more, maybe after we have some kind of a meeting like you're talking about, then we finalize, after input, we finalize what is most important, like the top 10 or less.
yeah, I don't, because when you have 5 pages of goals, I don't think that they're all attainable. B, it burns out Margaret. C, it frustrates all of us. D, we're all going all over the place with trying to get things done. There's really no focus, so we're doing this with our goals, where if we can stand up, and all agree at the end of the meeting, we walk away with 8, or whatever, 10 goals.
Right.
And, honestly, break them down in timelines. doable, medium doable, long range, this is just gonna be on the list forever and ever, until we can get it done.
Or just
I
keep the top
I
one.
think even, but I think the long range ones, you break down and what is a step to get,
Mhm.
the journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step.
Yeah.
And so if we had something that is just a long-term thing, what is it, what we think is doable in 1 year
Right.
that makes us a little closer to that?
Mhm.
Right. I mean, these doesn't mean that they're off the radar. It
Correct.
just means that we want our focus to be on these 8 or these 10. And
Yeah.
I'd really like to hear from Margaret too, what she feels is important for the town, being there on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, I agree.
I, the sheet that I put in your agenda folder, which is a carryover from the board's goals and objectives, prior workshops, there's a lot of overlap there.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, some of the board's goals did align with the goals that were set for me last February. So
Mhm.
I think it's a good starting point. I do.
Were those the ones that were at the end of your self-evaluation? Or,
No, those were my administrative priorities and objectives. I don't think they'd make the board's top 10 list.
okay.
Mo-
Well,
Most of
some
them,
of them,
most
some
of
of them
them
might.
anyway, but there are things that absolutely have to be done. So they'd
Yes.
be done in addition. So.
So
Right.
maybe that's where we start, is that we come armed with giant sheets of white paper. And, when somebody reads pages 1 through 5 off, like the volunteer guide, well, that goes on the one that's done. We have another one in process. We have another one, to do or something like that. And maybe that's where we start to look at them. Because maybe, pages 1 through 5 really whittles down to page, 1.5 to 2, of them.
I
Well,
would
I
actually
think-
encourage small
Yeah.
post-it notes over a large board, because on a
Yeah.
small one, we can write down a
Yeah.
bunch of them, and then we can move them from fiscal year 22 to fiscal year 23, from
True.
top priority to bottom priority. We can move them all around until we have something that we think is good.
You
And we
guys
could
just
look
want
at
to
the,
play a game, don't you?
Oh,
Sounds like
no.
fun.
Well, no,
it
you
is
make
it is
it-
how I've done, it is how I've done
Concentration.
budgeting games. That's how I've done project management stuff.
Yeah.
You list out everything you want to do. Like, okay, there's 75 of them. And then we're like, well, these two are really the same. So let's rip up this post-it note. Or we all agree that that's a neat idea, but it's more complicated than we think we can take. Or this one's too big and this is one post-it note, but it says, like renovate town buildings. Well, that's too big. So what is the component pieces of that to break down so that we can, get to something that is
Yeah.
chewable.
I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, that's a nice little affinity diagram. So, if we could all have, like different color Post-it notes, somebody has pink, somebody has blue, somebody has yellow.
It-
So if you're really passionate about
Right.
someone, whoever has the blue one,
Mhm.
you can stand up there and state your case as to
Okay.
why it needs to go or why not.
Right.
So,
And I think it gives us some homework to do, because if we all had our colored pad a couple weeks
Mhm.
ahead of time and could write down ours down, we could come sort of prepared. And it could be that we draw in a hat, whoever goes first probably has the longest talking, because the second person can say, okay, I also have these 3, and
Yep.
then here are the 6 others that I have that are slightly different, and here's the 3 I have that are totally different. Maybe here's the one I have that's exactly the opposite direction of another one. And then we can see what everybody has, and then sort of, again, break them down like, oh, we all think differently. Well,
all right. So
there's
can
some
we
good dispute
find,
mediation stuff that goes there.
yeah, I mean, so can we find a Monday, and is Lisa busy booking upstairs? Do you know, Margaret? I mean, can we snag
No,
a
she
Monday
said
night?
she said, put in the, fill out the contract, put in the reservation.
All
And
right.
then I just on a Monday night versus sort of a different night, so we don't interrupt, because we tend to have agendas that take most of our Mondays.
Or
But
do
we
we
can try
just,
Monday night and see what happens.
yeah, or do we just pick a Monday and say, this is all we're doing? So we're either done in a half an hour because we're awesome, or we're there until 10 o'clock at night duking it out upstairs in the, in the town hall. I
Gosh,
think we,
hope that's not the case.
oh God, yeah, we talk about a game, we can have like sumo wrestling upstairs. Yeah, get
From
that
6
on.
feet apart.
Absolutely, sumo
Right.
wrestling 6 feet apart with a big stick. But no, I I think we need to devote a solid night just for goals and objectives.
Mhm.
But that's just me.
Okay, I just do think we need to keep in mind that we're narrowing this down, at least for the first year.
Mhm.
Because I think it's important if we want to keep Margaret, I think we need to do that.
Well, I think, and I also think it's valuable to look back, because if you
Yeah.
look forward, it can look impossible. But when you look back and see what's been
Right.
accomplished and what
Yeah.
you're able to do, it
Right.
helps keep things in perspective. So,
Mhm.
Yes.
Right, and although not, although there are things not done, I don't think there was ever expectation that everything on this 5-page list would be 100% done
Mhm.
in 1 year. I am excited that there's a whole page of a dozen, maybe even 2 dozen of things that are done,
Mm.
and some of the things that say 50 and 75% I know have since been completed since this was last update. I feel for the size of this list, how many that actually were accomplished in a year, I think is pretty good. And
Absolutely.
and I think we will get better because this is before we really tried. That was our first stab at it,
Mhm.
and it was done separately between the town administrator and the select board. This is the first year we'll sort of do it in conjunction with each other. I mean, again, I think this is an iterative process. 10 years from now, this process will be even smoother than whatever we do
Mhm.
this year. But I already feel that this year's is going to be even smoother than last year's went. So I mean, I
Yeah.
think we're good.
Okay. Then are we talking about a different night, or are we talking about and
Let's try it on a Monday.
Yeah. So
okay.
let's, so let's pick one in June. I mean,
Yeah.
because we're going to be busy up until town meeting, and
Yeah.
truly, there's not that many weeks left. 1, 2.
Is June good, Margaret?
June
Bless
is
you.
actually really good
Thank you.
because town
I couldn't
meeting
get to the meeting.
itself will add more projects. You know,
Right,
the approval of
right.
capital items in particular is going to add a lot of,
Mhm.
so, yeah,
Okay.
so June would be good.
And if we're talking about it now, we can even mention something quickly at coffee talk and
Mhm.
have people come up to us at town meeting and say, hey, when you're looking at goals, objectives, don't forget.
Right.
I'm loath to give examples for fear that
Don't.
I'm going to pick on someone's favorite or someone's least favorite or
That'll
How
be on your
about,
sticky note.
And I
Right,
know that the board typically goes into a summer schedule at some point. So what about, let's see here. What about June 7th? June
Done.
7th?
Sold.
Sold?
sure.
Wait a minute. I'm still looking for my
Of course, it's a board
calendar.
meeting night. How could it?
Right.
But we have
Well,
plenty
because
of
you pick
time
them on,
to. Right.
Are we still are we doing this on Zoom then, or what are we doing?
I think we're going to try to do it in person.
Okay.
Mhm.
I think all of us will be 2 weeks, we'll all be more than 2 weeks out from our second vaccination at that point.
Is there any way, and maybe this is a Brittany question, that we go grab Mr. Bradley and we bring him back, as long as he's not busy assessing? Is there any way that we could live stream this? Because if we do Zoom, honestly, you're just going to see people walking back and forth between all our laptops. So it's not going to be really effective, but if you could stream it live, is that possible?
That's a question. Mary, would you be able to ask Brittany if that's possible to live stream it?
I mean, it could be just run off of a computer aimed at you all so that it's on Zoom Live, even if cable TV doesn't have the ability to do it live. But I'll ask her if she can, with a camera, do it live out of the town hall. Is that the question?
Yes.
Yeah, I kind of doubt it, but
I don't know that they have a drop there to do that.
yeah.
Uh,
I know the last places that I remember doing live programming was in the town offices and also at Berlin Memorial School.
Well, you know what, we'll try it. And if not, I mean, we just tell people that this is going to be our first in-person meeting. We're going to give it a whirl and see what happens, see what type of feedback, get it filmed, just have Roger come back like he used to when we all sat at the big table. And they put it up the following day and we, solicit feedback. Got to start somewhere. And who has peepers? I hear them in the background. Somebody's
I
window
have
on here.
peepers, but I do have a window open, don't I?
Yep, so I'm hearing
Unless-
Scott's peepers.
Which is weird because I have noise canceling headset, so I can barely hear them. But
Ah, I hear
Well, could be my
oh,
pup.
they are significantly louder if I take off my headset.
them. Okay,
Okay,
awesome.
so it sounds like a plan.
Yep. And then everyone do your homework, go through pages 1 through 5 and the ones that are there.
What do you mean? Since we set those, I have a document on my cell phone that I've been writing every time I think of like, oh, that should be a goal for the coming year.
Oh, boy.
Mary,
So
we're
I
gonna
already-
need lots of sticky notes.
Right.
Lots.
I have 75. No, I don't have 75.
Lots of sticky notes.
Mary, would you please ask Lisa if we could reserve the upstairs? Okay, great, thank you.
Yay.
I'm writing to them now.
Oh, perfect, okay, thanks.
Thanks, Mary.
And I'm looking for sticky notes in my desk.
Oh, God.
I don't see any.
We'll get
Oh,
us-
you know what?
Yeah,
get us
Office,
the right
Office,
colors.
Office Max is going out of business in Marlboro, so I'm sure we could probably get them cheap.
Oh. Okay. Um. All right then. What was it? June 7th. We're going to talk about.
Yep.
All right. Okay.
So that's gonna be a work session. We'll call that. a
Yes.
work-
Right. Right. And hopefully there won't be any other business. If there is, it'll have to be quick.
Mhm.
Okay.
We say that, you know, there's gonna be like 7 agenda items, right?
Yeah, I know. Sometimes, yeah. Let's move on to board questions and comments and liaison updates. You want me to go first?
Mhm.
All right, I'm just gonna fill you in on the April 14th ZBA meeting. The agenda was basically the Cape Berlin. They discussed the modification to the comprehensive permit decision and the homeowners association trust document. After the discussion, they chose to close the hearing and they voted on, I don't know how many waivers, but they did it as a lump altogether that were asked for in the modification to the comprehensive permit. And the waivers were approved 4-1. So it looks as though the Cape Berlin is going to move forward. That's all I got. Anybody else?
I'll let Scott go.
I mean, Ag Commission met last week, but much of it was around the letter that they've already sent out about talking about they met with Conservation Commission. Again, great interest, and I had to bail before the meeting was done, but they've had incredible interest in the community gardens. And they've sort of finished assigning plots. I talked to them briefly about mosquito mitigation and trying to exempt out as a town. And I've done a little bit more work on that. Really not for this year. It's obviously we're well into it, but there is some interest in exploring what our options might be for next year, and I might continue to do that. I've not quickly found an email for the mosquito control district.
Oh, I can get that to you, Scott.
Okay, if you get that over to me, I'll do the conversation. I had a couple of questions of sort of, if we exempt out, we have to have our own plan. And so if they had sample plans from other towns, I'd like to know what it includes and doesn't include. And then we give them some money every year to do the mitigation, and whether or not, if we do our own mitigation, can we use some of those funds? You know, the farmers have obviously concern, actually, both Peter Hoffman, who raised it to us, and the couple people have obviously some concerns because they don't want the bee population to go down, and think that even some of the spraying done now doesn't get to some of the wetlands. If you spray along the roads, you're missing all the wetlands that we have in town where the mosquitoes can be breeding in, and try to figure out something better, even just putting dunks down the culverts, because that's where water sits and stagnates, and there could be a bunch of options. So I'm going to do some looking into it. We'll see what I can put together for the fall. Historical had 2 meetings planned, both of which got canceled. I do know that because I've been emailing with a couple of them, that they're planning a moving party for more of the items from the basement of town offices to the curatorial storage building in the next couple of weeks. And so that should free up a bunch of space. And I think after I'm helping with some of that, and so I'll have a better sense of like how far along they are after we do the move.
Okay. Peg?
All right, so rec, it looks like they have some more folks joining them, so that is awesome. I did, kind of like on the funny float an idea to Julie Lee to see if the snack shack could open and like feed us before our town meeting on Saturday.
You were really looking at food trucks. Come on.
I was looking at food trucks, but we realized that that's a special application, and we all know that that is an act of God to get through and try and turn around in a quick amount of time. So option B was the snack shack to see if they would be interested, sell drinks and things like that. So I don't know if Julie's going to move forward with that, but thought that would be just a great thing, for the town, to support the snack shack and have them make a little bit of money. Energy, Margaret, I don't know where you dug up Beth Greenblatt from, but if you could keep digging
Oh,
up
boy.
people like her.
Isn't she a treasure?
She, just the woman's brain just does this. So we were meeting, the Energy Committee was originally meeting with Beth to talk about solar panels. And I think in the beginning, I know that I had kind of like tunnel vision of just put it up on the town barn roof, because that's where it was supposed to go. And, Beth came back and said, well, you might need to broaden your thought process here, because you may not get a lot of people who want to work specifically on just the barn roof. What about, have you thought about maybe putting panels at the transfer station? Have you thought about putting panels maybe somewhere in the on the land that the town offices is on? Can you put them at the old dump on Gates Pond Road? Can you put them somewhere down at Berlin Memorial? So, again, the broader your horizon, the more opportunities you may have for people to come back and actually bid on the work to be done. Beth is drawing up a response, and we'll get that back to the Energy Committee to review, but I thought that was just absolutely brilliant. So as, she and Jason and, Stephen and even Margaret are talking about, behind the something, behind the meter, in front of the meter, and this and that, I'm sitting there going, I don't have a clue as to what they're talking about. So I emailed Bob Hodge down at the library and said, I need this book, and this book. So I can come up to speed a little bit more on exactly what behind the meter is. So that is off and running. As I said, Concom, they'll be meeting in May. Their forum is tomorrow. And so this was via Chris. Susanna Roberts had reached out to Chris on some questions, and somehow the discussion of grant writing came up. So Chris, put Susanna and I together, and Susanna said, hey, what are you guys working on? I went, oh, funny that you asked, and basically rattled her off a list. Pretty much she has offered to try and assist with some grant writing as well. And even though, her time might be limited, I wrote her back today and said, I don't care if you have an hour. I don't care if you have 100,000 hours. The point is that you stepped up, you came forward, and you're willing to help. So, I've sent her links that Margaret has shared with me on where the grants are. So we just really got to go through them and see what's out there and just kind of like match them up and see if what I think applies for a grant really is true. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? We don't get the money, we get a part of the money, and if we never try, we don't get any money. So thank you to Susanna for stepping up and getting an extra set of hands out there to ask for money to help the town. And that is all she wrote.
Okay. Any closing remarks?
The fun part of town permits and alcohol permits. the National Regal Cinema website says the Solomon Pond location is reopening on May 17th.
Hmm.
Have they contacted us at anything? Do they need to? I don't know anybody over there, but I'd hate to have them open up and then somehow there's a problem with the town because they messed something up. And so I'm hoping they open.
Mary, did they get their renewals, or I don't know, were the inspections done for the renewals there, or is it?
Inspection, I think, was done, but they haven't paid for their liquor license, their entertainment, their common vic, So they also have an arcade in there, which is a different subtenant. So if they think that they're doing all of those things, I can poke them.
Yeah, because I think a simple poke, I hear you're opening up, that's great news. Here's some loose ends that just want to make sure don't fall off the radar at all.
Yeah. Okay, good. All right. Let's see. Then with no need for an executive session, I guess I would take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And seconded,
All right, Keith, aye.
Stone Eye.
Hawkins, aye.